The earliest days of the internet can be traced back to the mid-1980s, when a handful of companies like Prodigy, CompuServe, and America Online offered very limited public networks. One of the services that consumers could access on these public networks was air travel. For the first time, you could book a seat on a flight and be quoted an airfare, all from your home computer. Of course, you still had to visit a travel agent or the airline itself to pay for the ticket. Online payment systems were still another 10 years away. Well, those days seem prehistoric compared to what a traveling consumer is able to do, not just from a laptop today, but from a smartphone. Hardware technology solved the how. The personal computer and the smartphone took care of that. Software technology solved the where and when. Apps on a phone could provide access to travel sites anywhere, anytime. So as consumers grew accustomed to getting what they wanted from their phones, tablets, or laptops, the travel industry took full advantage. Soon, giant players known as OTAs, or online travel agencies, began to dominate, spending millions on technology and advertising. You know the names: Expedia, Travelocity, Hotels.com, Trivago, Orbitz, and others. In fact, they're all owned by one umbrella company, Expedia Group. I'm Chris Henry, and this is another episode of Ahead of the Curve, a podcast about Salesforce technology, produced by Gerent, one of the leading Salesforce consulting and implementation partners in the world. In 2018, Gerent developed and brought to market a product called DeepQuest, designed to provide powerful but affordable technology for the hundreds of small and medium-sized travel companies trying to compete with Expedia Group. DeepQuest is based on the Salesforce CRM platform and is the brainchild of a woman named Ketta Reilly, someone with more than 3 decades in the cruise industry.
When I first started on the cruise industry, the way that we made a reservation for a customer, first of all, the customer would only be able to call in. They would only have a hardcover brochure to look at, or have to go into, obviously, a travel agency to look at the destinations or to choose what those destinations would be. And you would create the reservation in a book and start just reserving it. Then it evolved into a what they call a mainframe environment, where they would go ahead and then finally make the reservation online, but it was still a call-in. Not until the internet came in did they start realizing that, hey, I can do advertising here. I can do pretty pictures here. So obviously, yes, the internet was the number one probably factor. And then as that has evolved from internet, the social media aspects of it, the Facebooks, the Twitters, even the Snapchats of the world of people posting where they are, that has created buzz and how to keep up with it. So social media for the travel industry, obviously, it has evolved from internet days, has evolved from the websites to the devices to the social medias and all that, just to keep everybody connected and up to date with every aspect of types of travel, regardless of whether it's from the air to a cruise to a bus to any type of destination, to a hotel, to a resort, anything. The technology has played a big factor in making the travel industry really grow.
There are an estimated 200 or so small and medium-sized travel companies in the United States. For them, the technology that was available prior to DeepQuest was just too expensive. They couldn't afford it. So this left them at a tremendous disadvantage to the enormous online travel agencies.
Without breaking their bank, they've needed to find these type of engines that obviously technology companies that have developed have sold, so they can compete in the spaces of the Expedias and the Travelocities of the world. Because not only is the technology important there and how they get powered up, however, it's the product that they are able to sell and the competitive edges on how fast to market, their pricing, things like that. But it's a one-stop shop for a consumer to go to. For example, an Expedia or a Travelocity has the ability to go ahead and create the whole experience for that customer. And that's what the cruise lines are doing as well. The cruise lines are saying, okay, well, we'll sell you the cruise, but I'm going to also give you the ease of doing business with, which is from the moment that customer leaves their house to the moment that they return back to their house. The cruise lines are offering those type of services, and they could never do this without the use of having multiple sources and this technology to kind of put it together. But all of that comes with a very expensive price where the small, medium businesses cannot really compete because the wallets of the big guys are really deep.
Were these the conditions that made it right to bring DeepQuest to market?
I had the opportunity of working in a cruise line industry for 32 years, not only from the business aspect of it, but from the technology aspect of it. You have a lot of companies out there with a lot of different needs, especially the large ones are always looking to cut costs. The small to medium business people are always, they can't afford things, or they do end up having to use so many different resources in order to support their business that they end up making a hodgepodge of technology that at the end of the day doesn't result in anything but a very large cost. So having that background with the business and having the background with the technology, I was able to start in the back of a napkin creating DeepQuest. And I could actually say it really was in the back of a napkin. And the discussions and the needs and the listening to the different business owners, the small to medium business owners, that was how I evolved into a DeepQuest. And I started off with just a need for a cruise reservation system. And then obviously using the Salesforce technology, which I have used for the last 10 years, how easy it is to create and build, but be able to give the ability to these businesses to own their own destiny was very important, because there's too many times how you're sitting in a meeting or you're listening to discussions where somebody owns the code, you have to pay millions of dollars for that code. DeepQuest was designed for the small and medium business owners to really be able to participate and be in the competitive edge, still get that reach of the customer the way that the big guys get them.
Alaskan Dream Cruises is a small family-owned cruise company out of Sitka, Alaska, that offers its guests the sort of Alaskan experience that large cruise lines can't. The company relies on word of mouth and repeat business, but it was hampered in its business practices by an awkward reservation system. The company's director of sales is Doug McClatchy, and he explains what its largest drawback was.
Chris, I think it was probably our reporting. It seems like none of the out-of-the-box reservation systems that I could find, or the one that we were using previously, really gave me the ability to really kind of break down my data and see, which travel agencies are performing the best, and which states are sending us the most guests, and which states are sending us the least guests. So it was really that without being able to afford like data warehousing capability where you could generate reports out of there, we weren't able to get to that information, not easily.
And tell me why those reports were so important for Alaskan Dream Cruises.
Well, it's really just, what's working for us and what's not as far as sales and marketing is concerned, like in what areas are doing really strongly. And then you can analyze and figure out, why do we think this one's doing a little bit better? And can we recreate that in another market?
When you are a small cruise company like Alaskan Dream Cruises is, what are your most important marketing tools then?
Most importantly, obviously like social media is becoming very big for us, but just being able to interact with our guests more effectively. because the majority, when you're small like us, a lot of people haven't even heard of Alaskan Dream Cruises, and we don't have the budget to take out commercials on the Today Show like Carnival or Royal Caribbean can. So we rely very heavily on word of mouth advertising and people coming home and saying, "Oh, I had the most fantastic time with this small cruise company." Was able to get us into some smaller areas of Alaska that we couldn't see with those bigger cruise lines. So definitely that being able to communicate and make sure that all of our guests are happy so that they can spread the gospel when they get home as well.
Following up with those guests after the fact is something that obviously you would want to do as a company, because you'd want to bring them back. Did your previous reservation system allow you to, first of all, establish the kinds of relationships with your guests, your first-time guests? And did it allow you to then be able to follow up effectively?
No, I mean, it had their information in there, but I really like how DeepQuest includes that CRM capability that comes with Salesforce, because now, no matter which one of my agents speak to a guest, whether it's, prospective, already booked or past guest, we have a way to document what happened with the conversation. So even if that person or that customer ends up having to speak with another one of my agents when they call back, there's a history there of how we, what's happened with them in the past. And so the guest is not always starting from square one at the beginning of every call.
When a guest books a cruise, there's a lot more involved in the booking than there is with an airline seat, for example. The guest might need help selecting a cabin or stateroom, or might have dietary issues that need to be addressed by the reservation agent. Alaskan Dream Cruises also offers a large number of shore excursions. Doug McClatchy says that DeepQuest allows the company to not only handle all these needs, but it creates a full profile of each guest as well.
Absolutely. We've actually integrated a guest information form. I think larger cruise lines would see it as like an online check-in for anybody who's ever, taken a big cruise. So we're able to gather all that information. We provide rain gear for the entire cruise for all of our guests. So we need to know their not only their dietary needs, but their pant sizes, their shoe sizes, all of that other stuff. This system has actually given us the ability to do that, and we house it right in the system so that even if a guest takes a cruise again in the future, as long as their sizes haven't changed or their dietary needs haven't changed, we've already have a profile for them built in the system. And that's been very easy for our shore support staff as well as our onboard staff to actually then print out these reports so they have all that information on every guest very, very easily. Frankly, in the past, we dropped the ball on that a little bit because everything was done in a different system.
And that system did not allow you to generate the kind of 360-degree picture of the guest.
Correct.
What were its drawbacks primarily in that regard?
I think it seems to me that the majority of reservation systems that have been built were only designed to do that one thing, take a reservation. It's never really looked at the business use and the long-term, effects that it can have, having a better relationship with the guests and knowing all of that information and having it available at anyone's fingertips within the organization who may need it.
And in order to get to that level, did that system demand that you purchase more modules or spend more money or?
Every time. every phone call to them resulted in another bill.
And that's pretty impactful on a small company like Alaskan Dream Cruises, isn't it?
Absolutely. On the other hand, with DeepQuest here, it's Salesforce-based, and I've actually been working with one of my agents to get her to become a very capable administrator in the system. So a lot of the small things that need to be changed, she's been able to go in and just make those changes. Sometimes I have to step in and help her, but we don't have to call Gerent or anyone else after the fact for any of the minor stuff. If we want big changes, then yeah, we would have to go to somebody that knows some coding like Gerent.
One of DeepQuest's most compelling features for a small travel company is its a la carte format. It's been designed on a module basis, and it allows a company to take some or all of the modules, depending on the business requirements. Here's Ketta Reilly again.
DeepQuest is based on that CRM platform, and you just have these different modules, whether it's for the cruise, whether it's creating shore tours, whether it's for hotel and resorts, even for yachts, you can use them. It doesn't matter how small your business or how large your business. DeepQuest has modules where you could have every module, or you can pick and choose the modules that you need based on your business needs. Marketing to data warehousing to analytics, any type of thing, Salesforce has an option for you. So it just makes sense to combine the need for these types of reservations and make it easy to plug into any Salesforce product or anything else for that matter, taking credit card processing, payments, anything like that. Moving data from back and forth, doesn't matter the size, you can still use any of those tools.
One of the tools that excites Doug McClatchy at Alaskan Dream Cruises is DeepQuest's online booking module, something the company plans to incorporate in the future. What's that going to do for you?
Oh, that's going to be a game changer. That's going to be, if you look around, a lot of these small cruise companies don't take online bookings because a cruise booking is more complex than just airline booking. It's there's a lot more things that go into it, like you said, cabin selection, itinerary selection, all that other stuff. But to be the first person or the first company online of our size to be able to sell from our website, I mean, that's going to open up new markets for us. I mean, we already get some guests in from Australia, but typically right now they all book through travel agencies because the travel agency keeps extended hours and they can talk to us when we're open and that sort of thing. I do think that's going to help us with the international market immensely.
The possibility of using this technology really enables the consumers of DeepQuest to have the ability to not only manage their system, manage their customers, manage their reservations, manage their campaigns, things like that, all within, and not having this manpower of 100 people to have to do it. Whether you're a bus transportation company, you're a limo driver, or from the cruise industry, or even from the airline industry, there's a use for DeepQuest, and the ability to bring in all that, anything that has a Salesforce, and anybody who knows about Salesforce will understand how flexible DeepQuest is and the fact that it has an array of opportunities for their businesses. It's a global product. It is not limited to any one geographical area or anything like that. So language is not an issue. Currency is not an issue. So this really has the ability to take off and be a very simple solution, innovative solution, and give the people what they need, which is being able to power up their businesses and doing it in a simplified way.
Expedia Group and its various online travel entities post annual revenues in the billions of dollars. They're huge. But with size comes the loss of a personal touch, and that's something that small travel companies like Alaskan Dream Cruises still do well. Now, thanks to DeepQuest, small travel firms have affordable technology that gives them a lot of the critical tools they need to compete effectively for market share. You've been listening to Ahead of the Curve, produced by Gerent in cooperation with Salesforce. Technical production is provided by Dave Grind from the Acme Podcasting Company in Toronto. Our thanks to Ketta Reilly from DeepQuest and Doug McClatchy from Alaskan Dream Cruises. I'm Chris Henry. Thanks for joining us.